I'm gonna stop you right there. Don't even consider this one. Get this out of your head. It's not happening. It is official. We now know later this week, Thursday, February 12th, 5 p.m. Eastern, State of Play returns, and we'll see PlayStation, Sony finally breaking their silence with something of note for 2026. Over on the PlayStation blog, the official announcement has revealed that we'll be getting over 60 minutes of news, gameplay updates, and announcements from third-party and indie games ahead to PS5, along with the latest from teams at PlayStation Studios. Now, what's notable about this is, despite the fact that it's a State of Play, a series which typically relies heavily on third-party partnerships and indie titles, occasionally a sprinkling of a PlayStation first-party game to close it out, as we've seen with Wolverine in 2025. This upcoming presentation is joining a very exclusive group of presentations over at Sony PlayStation in the post-E3 era. Those being shows that exceeded an hour, and so far we've only had 2. The first of which was the PS5 Future of Gaming event from 2020, basically the unveiling of the PS5, which had a lot of first-party Sony exclusives for the PS5, with games like Spider-Man Miles Morales being revealed there, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Horizon Forbidden West, the Demon's Souls remake, among others. And the other PlayStation presentation, which exceeded an hour in runtime, was the 2023 Showcase, the PlayStation Showcase, a moniker that has not been used since, probably because it was not reviewed very favorably amongst fans or commentators. Point of all that is PlayStation is finally going to be delivering a show that will exceed an hour and hopefully feed the starving fans who have been eagerly anticipating a new major first-party PS5 exclusive blowout. And at the top of 2026, despite knowing a decent handful of games that PlayStation has lined up for the year, we still need to know the details. We still could maybe have a surprise here or there. And today, we are going to be running through the 5 major PS5 exclusives that could show up at this State of Play that really elevate it to be an all-timer. Which, if you look at the other State of Plays, the bar is low. Prediction 1, let's lead with the safe one. I expect we're going to be getting updates on the core 4 Sony projects that we know about going into 2026. Those being Marathon from Bungie, Saros from Housemarque, Marvel's Wolverine from Insomniac, and Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, the collaboration between PlayStation and Arc System Works. We've already seen a decent amount of most of these games, but considering the fact that they are headlining 2026 for PlayStation at the moment, it would make sense to touch base with your fans at the start of the year. Maybe we see the long-anticipated, long-rumored open beta announcement for Marathon, since that is encroaching upon us. March 5th is the release date for this game. Saros was initially supposed to release earlier in the year, but now it's releasing late April, so we could probably see a new trailer there, maybe see some announcements regarding co-op, which was a beloved feature added to Housemarque's last game, Returnal. Marvel's Wolverine I do expect is a bit later in the year, and I could imagine a really sizable showcase of the game at something like a Summer Game Fest, as we saw with Marvel's Spider-Man 2. So I don't think we're going to be getting a ton of Wolverine here, maybe a more solid window beyond just second half of 2026. And Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls is going to be a major game not only for PlayStation, but also the fighting game community in 2026. And considering it's a niche that PlayStation's never really directly catered to before, I'm interested to see how they position it within this State of Play, and if we're going to be getting any new tests, new characters unveiled, but regardless, it's going to be a major part of their year. I expect they will show it here. Prediction number 2, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach will be at the State of Play, not for PS5 owners, but for PC owners. We've seen plenty of PC releases announced at State of Plays in the past, and Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, one of the most celebrated games of last year, published by PlayStation, is likely going to be a big deal on PC. The original Death Stranding really found most of its audience there. They were eventually able to hit over 20 million players last I checked, and all of that happened after the game hit a new platform. It kind of underperformed on the PS4 launch in 2019. The director's cut, again, great package, but Director's Cut really found an audience once it hit the PC crowd, and I imagine this time around, seeing all of that success, the success that Sony really had no return on, they're going to want to publish it this time around. So we know Kojima has fans on PC, PlayStation is continuing to branch out to PC publishing, and Death Stranding 2, again, makes sense. We're coming up on a year at the beginning of this summer, so announce it now, release it around the 1-year anniversary mark, and we do know Kojima is editing a trailer currently. He's posting. He is posting, so something's coming, and it's probably going to be here. Speaking of PlayStation games coming to PC, another one that really blew up once it hit the platform was Ghost of Tsushima. And while I'm not fully going to be placing chips on Ghost of Yotei coming to PC just yet, what I will be betting on, and honestly could see this open the show, is the much anticipated look at Ghost of Yotei Legends. Or Ghost Legends 2, whatever they end up calling it. The DLC that has been announced to be coming to Ghost of Yotei, free for owners of that game, that will bring back the beloved, celebrated, out-of-nowhere smash hit multiplayer mode from Ghost of Tsushima Legends. I absolutely adore Ghost Legends. Out of all of the PlayStation multiplayer projects that we have seen the company ship, I'll go as far as to say in my lifetime. So I've been eagerly awaiting to see the next step for this, what could easily be a live service project that they continually update, that Sucker Punch really builds out to be its full featured best self. And honestly, I have been more excited for this than I was for a sequel to Ghost proper. Now, Ghost Legends, as a potential live service project, functions in a very similar realm as Horizon Hunters Gathering, a game that PlayStation did showcase recently, a game that Jason Schreier reports most of Guerrilla is hands-on at the moment, so no Horizon 3 at this state of play. I can pretty safely predict and bet on that. But if we consider that this state of play is following that lengthy reveal of Horizon Hunters Gathering by under 10 days, I wonder if it wasn't included because there was no room for it, it's too far out, or if it's because they don't want to run the risk of showing another co-op PvE type game that I think could even release. I'm eager to see it. I do think it'll be here, and I even think it's going to be a shadow drop at the show. Prediction for Final Fantasy VII Returns. And I don't mean that original one that's being updated on Steam. I mean Final Fantasy VII Returns will be the name of Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. The Final Fantasy VII Remake series has surprisingly been a headline maker throughout 2026 so far. We saw the multi-platform release of 7 Remake Intergrade earlier in the year, back in January, release on Xbox Series consoles and the Nintendo Switch 2, and just recently, at the latest Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase, the biggest news out of that, in my opinion, was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, releasing on Switch 2, Xbox Series consoles later this year, June 3rd. That's soon, following the first pillar of this trilogy. So I feel PlayStation is going to want to capitalize on the buzz, the hype, the road to launch of the third part of this trilogy that they so heavily invested in over a decade ago at this point. And while it's up in the air whether or not Part 3 will be a PlayStation 5 exclusive when it launches, I'm leaning on the theory that it's early 2027. At the very least, I do think that PlayStation will be the ones to debut this game to the world, to just sort of get one more bump out of that partnership. Maybe if it's not a exclusive at launch, if it is multi-platform, like some people are expecting, they can at least be the ones to tout it as like, hey, yeah, Xbox, Switch, they're getting the old games, but look at what we're showing on our show. The grand finale. Oh, look at this. It's running on the PlayStation 5 Pro. Look at how good Cloud's hair looks. You can't get this on the other consoles. But for a game that you can almost certainly only get on PlayStation, at least I assume, we've seen how PlayStation's handled spin-offs for their main franchises before, LEGO Horizon on the Nintendo Switch. The last prediction for today, God of War is going to be here, and I think it could even close the show, but it's not the God of War that you've been fantasy booking since you saw the mural and finished God of War Ragnarok and have thought about Kratos beating up Egyptian gods or Celtic gods. It's going to be the return to the Greek era of God of War. But again, not how you've been fantasy booking. This is not a trilogy announcement. This is not a remake announcement. This is the long-rumored God of War Greek 2.5D Metroidvania. We have spent the better part of the last year talking about this rumored God of War spin-off game. The God of War 20th anniversary was kicked off last year, March 22nd, 2025. The celebration should be ending March 22nd, 2026. And we spent the majority of this anniversary year saying, oh, God of War, it's gonna show up at Summer Game Fest. God of War, it's gonna show up at the State of Play. It's gonna show up at the Keighley's in December, and it just didn't show. And the reason it was so present, and people even considered it could be a shadow drop at the Game Awards, was because the original report had it as a 2025 game. But seeing as God of War is still celebrating its anniversary, seeing as we had a Greek-themed God of War DualSense that had no game paired with it, I mean, like, you'd think, yeah, you can release a DualSense for any anniversary, but, like, package it with, like, the Norse features? I don't know. That is a Greek tattoo. That is Kratos' old, fresh ink from the Greek era. I could easily see this being announced at the State of Play and releasing between now and the end of the 20th anniversary celebration. I could even see it launching multi-platform. I could easily see the Nintendo audience eat up a Metroidvania because they love them. And while it may not be the God of War game that people have been waiting for, and while it may not be the next Sony Santa Monica game that Cory Barlog has been toiling away on for 8 years at this point, it is undoubtedly an interesting direction to take the God of War franchise that we haven't seen before. And at this point, the last time I really connected with a God of War project was when they reinvented it with God of War 2018. So I'm down fully to see what this 2D Metroidvania project is, and I am eager to play it, hopefully sooner than later. But those are my predictions for what to expect at the State of Play. To recap, we're going to be getting updates on the major PlayStation exclusives for the year, a PC port of Death Stranding 2 on the beach, a shadow drop of Ghost of Yotei Legends, the first look teaser and release year confirmation for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3, Final Fantasy VII Returns, believe, and to close it out, in celebration of God of War's 20th anniversary, a brand new prequel Greek throwback to the roots of the series, God of War 2D Metroidvania. But what do you think? Are you excited for the State of Play? Are you going in with expectations high to see the latest and greatest from Sony's first party? Is this going to be a big one? Is this going to be showcase worthy? What is your most likely prediction? What is your dream out there prediction? Please let us know. And of course, you can stay tuned for coverage on what actually happens at the State of Play later in the week. But for now, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.